officially welcome Sally and Susie. Sorry you can't be heard, Susie, but just listen in silently, and you know, maybe it'll come back to life. So
you just put a message.
let's just dive into.
She's saying she can't hear us now.
Oh, you can't hear us. Oh, you can't hear us, and you can't speak. You could try streaming it on YouTube.
Oh, she's connecting to audio.
Right, is that working now?
Looks like it might.
Let's see if she can join us. Well, is it happening? No.
Looked hopeful.
Okay. Anyway, we'll just so we just crack on. Okay, so there's nothing to share. I'll just get into sharing my screen, and we'll start. Is Susie still with us? Okay, well, hopefully she can just follow along if you can, or you can get on the live stream. I'll send you the recording if you can't do it on. I'll send you this link right now because I've just got the link. So I'll put it in the chat, Susie. What's she saying? Can you live stream from YouTube? Yes. Yes.
That was me. I put it in there for Susie.
There we go. So there's the link, Susie. If you click that link.
Is that okay? Can you hear me now?
Hey, can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now. I don't know what was happening.
I was going to do that, but yeah, okay, all's good. I'm just going to listen in. Just.
Well, we can hear you now, so you can anything to share.
No, it's been all right. You know, obviously the last few weeks have been challenging, but I've got back on track somehow. Like you said, focusing on the now. The past is the past. That means even 10 minutes ago. So that's what I'm doing. And yeah.
Just be present.
Yeah.
Keep calm and carry on, as Winston Churchill said. It's a great saying. Very spiritual, actually. Okay, so let me just share my screen with you. Make sure we got where's that disappeared to now? Got the right one. Okay, there we go. Zoom in a bit. Okay. Let's share screen. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Susie, if you want to kick it off with the quote, please.
In the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself.
Very simple, short quote, but quite profound. So you're letting go of actually everything from the past, but the reward for that is finding yourself, your true self. Okay, and if you want to read the first paragraph.
This quote by Deepak Chopra accurately describes what the path of letting go can feel like. But what it can feel like that you're losing things you value based on your past experience, but reminds you what following it diligently will do for you, help you find your true happy self.
Yeah, any thoughts on that?
I like it.
let go of the past and you find who you really are. Hang on to the past and you remain enslaved into a false idea of who you are based on your past, your story, your history, all the conditioning, programming that you've encountered, not just in this life, but in many lifetimes. So we're talking about letting go of the entire past. So that's in the Eastern teaching, they call it karma. You have these thoughts and emotions about your past experiences in this life and other lifetimes, which together form your karma. And that karma keeps you on the timeline from birth to death. The more you identify with it. Let me just share my find this timeline of consciousness. So there it is. The more you root it in the past, all of these events of your past seem to be real, the more identified you are with the separate self. Do you see how those two go hand in hand? Your story and the separate self concept go hand in hand. So by letting go of the story, your attachment to the story, your belief in the story, then you're opening your mind to another self concept. So you're finding the true self, the Christ, that connects you with this source. So to pull up another diagram, you've got the Holy Spirit, Holy Trinity, having another view of this. Now you've got the same at the top, but you've got this Christ self that replaces the false self concept, and that's the concept that we are one. You are one self. There's only one self that is the same self for everyone and everything. Every sentient being has the same awareness, really, and that connects you with the feeling of this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it. So the past is a huge obstacle, and the past then. What the ego does is then projects that into the future and says, well, if your past has been like this, then you can anticipate a future like this. And so now we're anticipating, expecting, worrying about, feeling anxious about, desiring something in the future based on our past conditioning. And so we stay in the ego's loop. Past and future are its channel, and what it's always trying to do is to prevent you from coming into the present moment. Because in the present, you can access this awareness. But if your thoughts and emotions are rooted in past or future, you can't. This awareness is blocked. So remember, time is a major perceptual block to the true awareness, who you really are. So letting go of the past is what clears that block. Okay, let's go back to where we were. Okay, so Sally, I'll read the next paragraph and that following quote.
It only seems that you're being asked to give up something of value, but as Yeshua explains in section 4.1a of the Manual of Teachers, entitled The Development of Trust, that we recently covered, he can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where we anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead. Where he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him.
So you think you're going to lose something of value, and it's only actually as you actually do give up the valueless. In other words, the past, all of your attachment to the past. You anticipated that this would be the end of the world and grief, according to the ego, but actually you find a happy lightheartedness instead. You thought this was some kind of sacrifice you're needing to make, but actually you find that it's a gift. You finally come into an awareness of who you are. You're in the present moment. You can enjoy your life as much as you possibly can in a dream. Still a dream, but you're not unhappy. You're present. You're peaceful. You allow your life experiences to flow. So this is the third stage of the development of trust. This is part of the from the third stage of the development of trust. Jesha calls a period of relinquishment. So I just thought it might be just useful to have a look at the overview of it and say, okay, well, here's a summary of the 6 stages that he talked about. So number 1 is undoing. So that's a period of undoing, which usually looks like you're losing something. Feels like you're losing. Let's go to here. Don't necessarily have to read the whole thing, but just read the first couple of sentences of that. First, they must go through what might be called a period of undoing.
Who are you asking?
Either one of you, whoever wants to.
Shall I do it? Because I'm not going to be here long.
Yeah.
First, they must go through what might be called a period of undoing. This need not be painful, but it usually is so experienced. It seems as if things are being taken away, and it's rarely understood initially that their lack of value is merely being recognized.
Yeah. So it's about recognizing that there's a lack of value in the undoing, and so it's painful because we still attach value to the world. But the reason for it is to help us to recognize that there is no value in what we are attached to. As he says at some other point, if something won't last, if it's impermanent, it has no value at all, which is quite a decision. I mean, it makes it very clear cut. It's very simple. If something is not permanent, it has no value at all. Wow. Okay, so how much then can you value in this world? It's all impermanent. Every experience is so fleeting. Relationships, possessions, money, careers, everything we value here is not permanent. It's all in a constant change of flux. And it will fade away in the end and not be there. So he's saying, well, your only rule for decision then is it permanent or not? If it's not, it has no value at all. And this is part of what we have to learn in these first few stages. So sorting out the valuable from the valueless is the next stage. And this decision tool is a good way of doing that. So is it permanent or not? If it's permanent, then it has value. If it's not permanent, then it has no value. And that's how you sort out the valuable from the valueless. And then once you've done the sorting out, which is a process of evaluation, then you must actually let go, consciously relinquish the valueless. And go, no, I don't want this because it's impermanent. I don't want to attach my mind to things that are inevitably going to fade away, that I'm inevitably going to lose. That's foolish. And it feels like thank you. It feels like you're losing something of value. So let's take a little look at this. Susie, if you want to read period of undoing, period of sorting out, and then a period of relinquishment. So this is interpreted as giving up the desirable.
The third stage through which the teacher of perfect love must go can be called a period of relinquishment. If this is interpreted as giving up the desire, it will engender enormous conflict. Few teachers of perfect love escape this distress entirely.
So make it a bit bigger for you.
There is, I think what I'm struggling is our faces covering that bit, so I'm making sure that I've got the word in rather than, because I can't see it, because it's over the page, isn't it? Or it might be.
You can move your boxes around and just drag them to the side.
That was handy. I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah. And then
Have you done it? Because I'm still trying to do it.
I just clicked on it and slid it to the right. And
yeah, you can move that. You can move them around. So
It's not happening for me today. My cursor's moving, but the page is not moving.
Have you clicked on it? So you kind of grasp it with the thingy.
click, hold down, and drag it.
Oh, what am I doing now? Yeah, I've clicked on it, dragging it, not doing nothing.
Right.
At
Okay.
the top of the pictures, there's a line, a square, and a couple of little lines. Can you see that at the top of the videos? If you click on the left-hand side one, it'll minimize the pictures so they won't be on the screen. Do you know what I mean? Minimize all the pictures.
You can minimize the windows. You don't.
All right, yeah.
Oh.
But now I've made it too small for myself.
Okay, well, I can help you there. I'll expand it. There you go. Is that better?
No, it's on my, I don't know. I'm not having a good day here today.
Okay, well, never mind. If you can't read it, Sally can read it.
Yeah, the third stage through which the teacher...
Yeah, you read that, so let's move. If this is interpreters giving up the desirable.
Right, few teachers of perfect love escape this distress entirely. There is, however, no point in sorting out the valuable from the valueless unless the next obvious step is taken. Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be one in which the teacher of perfect love feels called upon to sacrifice his own best interests on behalf of truth. He has not realized as yet how wholly impossible such a demand is. He can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead. Where he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him.
All right. So any thoughts on that? And that's where the quote comes from. That I showed in the slide. You can learn this only as he actually does give up the values. So we anticipate grief, but actually we find a happy lightheartedness instead. And so these first three stages are difficult, as he says, challenging, difficult, because you're having to let go of what you previously valued, and it feels like you're losing something. But at the end of stage 3, you can then settle down into a period of reasonable peace, where
I like how you say reasonable peace.
Reasonable. Well, listen to what he says. Yeah, it's quite funny actually. So you want to read number. Now comes a period of settling down.
Now comes a period of settling down. This is a quiet time in which the teacher of perfect love rests a while in reasonable peace. I've not heard that before.
So you haven't quite got there to full peace of mind, but it's reasonable. You've gone beyond all of the difficulty of the first three stages.
Interesting new word for me, reasonable peace. So carry on.
Yeah.
Now he consolidates his learning. Now he begins to see the transfer value of what he has learned. His potential is literally staggering, and the teacher of love is now at the point in his progress at which he sees in it his whole way out. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. How simple is the obvious and how easy to do. The teacher of perfect love needs this period of respite. Yes, we do. He has come yet far as he thinks. Yet when he is ready to go on, he goes with mighty companions beside him. Now he rests a while and gathers them before going on. He will not go on from here alone. Oh, that's comforting.
Yeah. So saying it's like a halfway house on the journey. You've journeyed quite far, but not as far as you think. get a little breather, a bit of a break. You gather your strength, and then you continue on. And this is the idea of this journey, isn't it? Rests a while. So very much along the lines of the hero's journey.
Yeah, and that reasonable piece is nice as well. It means you haven't failed by not getting wholly peaceful.
Yeah. So you're saying, well, if you're experiencing that kind of peace fairly consistently, then you're probably at this stage. And there's still more to come, but you're kind of halfway in the journey. So that's a relatively nice stage, and then we go back into a challenging stage, unsettling.
Yeah, we're a bit worried about that one.
Period of unsettling. Well, that's has to say. So Susie, if you can read number 5. Next stage is indeed a period of unsettling.
The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. Now must the teacher of perfect love understand that he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that he really learned so far was that he did not want the valueless and that he did want the valuable. Yet his own sorting out was meaningless in teaching him the difference. The idea of sacrifice, so central to his own thought system, had made it impossible for him to judge. He thought he learned willingness, but now he sees that he does not know what the willingness is for. And now he must attain a state that may remain impossible to reach for a long, long time. He must learn to let go of all judgment and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. We're not each step in this direction so heavily reinforced it would be hard indeed. We're not each step in this direction. Yeah,
I'm saying you're going to have help and guidance, but this is the final letting go. You must let go of all judgment. Judgment is the tendency to want to make things real and condemn. Yeah. So you're still choosing love. In that sense, you're judging, but it's not judgment in the ego's sense. Ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. Okay, without exception. What do I really want? Well, I want peace. I want peace. I want ultimate enlightenment. So therefore, I must let go of all my judgments that make this situation real. And he says this might be impossible for a long, long time. A long, long time, not just a long time. To learn to let go of all judgment. So just start observing your mind. The next 24 hours, today and tomorrow, just try and observe how many judgments you make. How often do you judge something?
I was observing the Mona this morning when you say that, because there's constant rabble going off.
Yeah, so a complaint is a judgment. Oh,
yeah,
that's bad. That's not good. That's negative. Any kind of accusation, blame, any of that, that's a judgment. Judgment on yourself. You go, well, you stupid. Like, Susie, what are you doing? That's a judgment. And just notice, how many times do you do that in a day? And you might be quite shocked how many times, if you're really aware, you catch yourself judging in the negative sense. The last judgment and the Holy Spirit's judgment is a different sense of the word judgment. It's more like discernment, where you're catching these thoughts. There's an awareness that catches the thought, says, no, those thoughts aren't correct. I'm going to let them go. So you have to, judge the ego in that way. But in this sense, in this context, he's talking about judgment in a negative kind of condemnatory sense. So judgment that condemns anyone or anything is false judgment, because it's making real the idea of separation and sin and guilt, which is an unreal idea. So judgment in the condemnatory judgment must be false. And he's saying this final step, final stage is you've got to let go of all judgment, all that negative judgment. So in other words, you're doing away with the ego entirely. There's no more of it's going to be left. And that's why he says it might take a long, long time. Lots of mind watching, mind training. So try that for the next 24 hours. You know, how many judgments do you make?
So I was just swaying with EAM to see how many judgments a day I do. So it was 1,000 negative judgments a day. So
Really?
if I let go of 1,000 negative judgments, can you imagine how much better I'll feel?
But there's a thought, any thought that's judging this, anyone or anything in any kind of negative sense, any kind of condemnation, and there's a feeling to it. You have to tune into the subtle feeling of it. When it is a condemnation, it doesn't feel good. It feels, the ego loves it, of course, but there's a harshness, there's a cruelty to it. And so it's observing that. And you know, that's usually whenever your peace is disturbed, you've made a judgment of some sort, and it's unconscious, but you've judged something as not good, bad. You've projected that out onto whatever it is or whoever it is, and then you suffer because of it, because you experience the disturbance of your peace. And
I think, like you say, when you observe it, because I've observed mine, because I'm noticing more and more there's a lot more stuff coming up. The more I seem to be clearing, the more, you know, is coming up. And sometimes I feel that whatever subject it was, it just seems to drop off because I've just watched it. And then something else will come up. So you're just thinking your mind's a really powerful tool, the amount of thoughts that come in and out that we don't even know about. So it's just like one of those hungry hippo games, isn't it? As soon as it empties, it adds more. As soon as you empty it, it adds more.
Yeah, this is why he's saying, you know, this might take a long, long time, because to get rid of all negative judgments is to collapse the ego entirely and find, you know, just a present state of peace that's undisturbable, which he then goes on to describe in number 6. Someone want to read that?
And finally, there is a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now what was seen as merely shadows before becomes solid gains to be counted on in all emergencies as well as tranquil times. Indeed, the tranquility is their result, the outcome of honest learning, consistency of thought and full transfer. This is the stage of real peace. From here is the state of pure formless awareness fully reflected. From here, the way to pure formless awareness is open and easy. In fact, it is here. Who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete? And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? And what could be more desirable than this? I can imagine tranquility if we don't judge ourselves.
Just no negative thoughts. That's what he's describing. No negative thoughts, no negative feelings about anything or anyone. That's the state he's pointing to, a period of achievement. So that would be the final stage. That, you know, once you've got to stage 6, it's the end of your dream. You're just waiting for God to take the final step. You lay the body aside and then you're free. But as long as there's still negative judgments, then there's still karma. You still have the ego operational. Your mind is still split. And that's why he says it might take a long, long time to attain the state. Many lifetimes, possibly, but don't limit yourself. Don't say, okay, well, it has to take that. No, it's about when you choose to let go. How willing are you to let go of your judgment.
100% willing.
Okay, well, you'll be tested on that.
Yeah.
Just why, yeah, do it as an exercise the next 24 hours until tomorrow, and this time and go, okay, so how did that go? How many judgments did you catch yourself making?
Mm.
And then could you stop it? Say, okay, I see it, and I can stop it before I develop that thought. You know, catch the thought. You start making the judgment before it goes any further. You go, oh no, that's a judgment. And as I said, just to clarify, it's any kind of negative thought and emotion. It's negative towards anyone or anything. And there's a sense of, well, this is bad, it's wrong, it shouldn't be happening. There's often a resistance to it. And there's a feeling of kind of anger that underlies it. It's like a condemnatory kind of feeling. And you just got to tune into, the subtleties of your feelings, because that'll tell you. Whereas peace, when you're at this stage, this period of achievement, it just is there. It's spacious, it's open, it's aware, and there's no edge to it. There's no heaviness, no darkness. Just an open, empty, spacious awareness. And you start to learn the difference between them. So that's the true judgment, the last judgment, Holy Spirit's judgment, is to learn the difference between these states. You're just peaceful and free and happy on the one hand, in the spirit, and the ego's judgments and the kind of disturbance to your peace and the heaviness and the darkness of it. And if you can distinguish the difference, then you can choose accurately, which is what we've been trained to do. So a lot of people misinterpret and say, well, if we don't judge, how can we decide? But he's using judgment in a specific context to note ego judgment rather than the Holy Spirit's judgment. In other parts of the text and workbook, he talks about the judgment of the Holy Spirit, the last judgment, as being something that you must do. You must judge against the ego. So I think we decided, maybe a better use of the word for Holy Spirit's judgment would be discernment. The Holy Spirit's discernment allows you to choose which thought system you want. Okay, so any questions on that? Just a quick review. So a period of undoing, then sorting out the valuable from the valueless. Undoing often involves changes in your life circumstances that trigger a sense of loss. Then you've got to sort out what's valuable from valueless. So there's a process of discernment or judgment going on here. Then you must relinquish what's valueless. Actually mentally let it go. That leads to a period of settling down where you're in reasonable peace, but you haven't come as far as you think. Then the final fifth stage is really unsettling, because this is letting go of everything. All judgments in your mind, all negativity in your mind has got to go. And then finally achievement, where you actually attain the state of enlightenment. That achievement would be enlightenment, where you're able to be in the world but not of the world. You really, your inner peace is unshaken by whatever seems to happen in the world, and you just play your life out in a state of flow, the happy dream, Yeshua calls it, until finally you lay your body aside. God takes the final step, and you merge your mind back into your source. Okay, so any thoughts on that process?
Don't think my ego's liking this. I'm feeling quite drained.
Yeah, we'll observe that.
And all I could hear was, "It's okay, won't be long till it's 2 o'clock because you've got to go." And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it while I'm actually listening to the call.
Really? Interesting.
It is interesting, very interesting.
Well, here's the journey. I mean, this is Yeshua laying it on, saying here's your journey to ultimate awakening and liberation in 6 steps. So this is how it's going to unfold. Once you understand, what the steps are, it's just another part of the undoing of the ego. It's like it can't confuse you. You start to go, okay, well, this is actually the process I'm in. And I might be wherever I am, number 2, number 3, but I know what's to come now. And so now there's a natural progression that helps me to understand this journey. So this is another model of awakening. We've looked at the hero's journey, and there's similarities. There's also some differences. The similarities are, it starts with a call to adventure. That's often the period of undoing. And then the hero must make a clear-cut decision to continue. Well, that's really stage 3, the relinquishment. If you look at the hero's journey here. Then you look at this. So stage 1, the period of undoing, that can be the call to adventure. And then when you've really chosen to let go and you've actually relinquished the old life, really, the known world, that's when you cross the threshold and you're now on the journey. And then he says here that you won't, you will go with mighty companions by your side. That's often after number 3, isn't it? You will not go, now he rests while gathers them. So when he goes with mighty companions beside him. So quite similar in the hero's journey, there's this sense of helpers and mentors going with you that are really the Holy Spirit just speaking to you through symbols in the world. It could be living people, it could be dead people, it could be A Course in Miracles, Yeshua. There's many ways to guide you through the remaining part of the journey, which is the full letting go of all judgment. And that takes you into the abyss. So I guess at stage 5, you would have this abyss experience, and you would finally collapse the ego. So stage 4 would be this period of somewhat settling. So you've got over the barrier. You're now in the unknown world, but you starts to become a bit more familiar, and perhaps less challenges and temptations for a while. But to let go of the entire ego means all of this challenges and temptations, or the temptation is to judge, isn't it? To judge it from your own perspective, from your ego's perspective, and therefore make that self-concept that's judging real. And then once you've gone through the abyss, complete undoing, you come out the other side. This would be the true transformation. At 1 month, this is now stage 6, where you're a period of achievement, where you've achieved liberation, enlightenment, and you now return with these gifts that you've learned on your journey back into society to try and add value to others and help them to take their journey on, undertake their journey. So there's similarities as well. There does seem to be a kind of a universal archetype which Joseph Campbell taps into, and Yeshua's used as well in his conception of the 6 stages. Okay. So any thoughts on that, hero's journey?
No.
So that leads us to where we are at the moment. If you want to read the translation, I've included the link here, and there's also a link to a session discussion that we did, Sally, to review it, where we just chatted about the 6 stages for just over an hour for a call. So Susie, if you want to listen to that, it's all there.
I was listening halfway this morning, so I know I've got another bit to listen to. But
yeah, so there was some good stuff there, and we've reviewed it now. So you know what the journey ahead is. Now it's just, daily, get your head down and just do the work. Let go of the past, let go of your misperceptions as and when they arise. And that's really how you do this. Okay. So happy to move on to the lesson then. I think Sally, you've probably only got 20 minutes or so. So let's just dive into the lesson, and then we'll do a meditation on it. And then, well, actually, if you've got to go, we'll do the lesson, and then Susie, we can look at the preliminary stuff on what is the Holy Spirit after that.
I've only got till 2 today, Jono.
Okay. Well, that's probably enough to do that in a meditation.
Okay.
Our egos are sleeping.
Well, that kind of works for me. So that's
well,
fine.
yeah.
Okay, so let's have a look at the lesson then. So Sally, read the original version and then the alternative of the key idea.
The past is over, it cannot touch me. Oh, it can touch me not. I've been saying it wrong all day. That's funny. The past is over, it cannot touch me. Yeah.
Very simple, very straightforward. But to actually live that is, the past is over, it cannot touch me. You would be at the stage of this final stage of achievement or awakening, or the awakened self. If the past can't touch you and you're completely impervious, you would be in stage 6. So that's why we're working through all of our past stuff, because anything that triggers you is a result of your past conditioning.
Just the relief on that woman's face does it for me, to think, wow, that sounds absolutely fantastic.
Well,
it does right here, right now, because we're all here.
Yeah, she's just woken up from a nightmare, and she's going, "Oh, thank God it wasn't real."
Good picture.
I'm free. Okay, so if you read the original, Sally, and then the translated version of paragraph 1, please.
Unless the past is over in my mind, the real world must escape my sight. For I am really looking nowhere, seeing but what is not there. It's not there. Oh, okay. Something there for me, isn't there? For I am really looking nowhere, seeing but what is not there. How can I then perceive the world forgiveness offers? This is the past was made to hide. This the past was made to hide. For this the world that can be looked on only now. It has no past. For what can be forgiven but the past? And if it is forgiven, it is gone. Oh, that feels really uncomfortable. Oh,
does it?
Yeah, tense my shoulders. I thought I'd got all this sussed, and then it got another layer.
Good. Okay, I'll just observe that. So read the alternative, and let's unpack it line by line.
Unless the past is over in my mind, the real world must escape my sight. Oh, I'm really tight in the middle of my back.
Yeah, does that just come on? Are you reading it?
Yeah, I've read it before to myself, but when it's on the group, it's got a bit more power to it. Unless the past is over in my mind, the real world must escape. It's when I say real world, must escape my sight.
You understand what the real world is? The world perceived correctly.
Yeah, the right mind.
True awareness, with whole awareness, without the judgments of the ego.
Oh, yes, some tension in there.
Okay, good. Carry on.
I am really looking nowhere. Really looking nowhere, seeing only what is not there. That's incredible, isn't it?
No, when you think about a memory, your memory is where the past comes from. There's not. It's just thought. You're really looking nowhere. It's all thought that's false, based on a past that never really happened, and now all you have is a memory of what never really happened. You think that's reality, and now you base your present decisions on that. He's going, well, that's extremely insane to do this, and yet that's the default mechanism of the ego. That's how we've been programmed to think, and to live our lives.
Feels like it's wiping out everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. The world of time and space, the past, the future must be undone. So this lesson is, I mean, so simple. The past is over, but whoa, okay, the past is over. That's the whole of time over. Entirety of time is over, and you come into the pure present moment without the past and without the future, because the future can't exist without the past. You understand that relationship? The future is based on expectation, and the expectation comes from your past experience. So the past and the future are inextricably linked. And only the present moment is free of that. That's like the gap between, if you're on the timeline, there's a gap that comes in. So instead of being consumed by the timeline and be thinking about the past and the future, there's this gap that opens up, which the Holy Spirit can give you in the pure present moment, where this awareness now comes in via the channel down, and you start communicating. And then you go, there's a little window there. And that window is actually where it's a portal to my freedom, because there's no past and there's no future. I'm just purely present. And so you become very focused on that. The more you experience, the more you're like, well, that's the answer. Just stay in the present moment. That opens up the window into this higher dimension. And it can only happen in the present. If you're thinking about the past and the future, this domain is blocked. You will never find it. So that's why, he's saying the past must be over in your mind. You must let go of all attachment to the past. Your past, other people's past. The previous lesson yesterday was a warm-up to this. He's saying, well, let's let go of the past as you perceive it in your brothers, as a warm-up to, okay, well, let's go for the whole thing now, and let's let the entire past go in your mind. So that's your whole story wiped out, cleaned and erased. Right? See that red line stretching back to your birth and before that, just erased. And so that's all the ego psychological and emotional attachment, which is another word for that is it's karma. It's karma. All of that erased. Cleaned away, come into pure formless awareness right now in the present moment, and then and only then are you free. Now you can live your life from the place of just being inspired and guided by this presence that's going to tell you what to do, where to go, what to say, without reference to the past. None of your past conditioning comes in. You're just being guided from this higher place. Okay, we'll go there, do that. So you're being done through now by the Spirit. You're the avatar that is being used by this Holy Spirit, rather than a program by the ego.
So what's your definition of karma?
Karma is the ego's psychological and emotional attachment. Egos, so all of this, the sum total of all of that is your karma. So that's any negative thought and emotion forms part of your karma. And it's usually attached to a situation, an event, a circumstance in your life. So you now have, you have a trauma like a divorce, for instance, and then you hold a grievance about that towards your partner. That becomes part of your karma, because it's a psychological and emotional attachment to this world, to the past, to this world, to the reality of all of that blocks the pure formless awareness of perfect love from coming into your mind.
Okay, because I've thought of karma as the stuff that you bring in with you when you're born, of issues from the past, but you're saying it's also karma that we create in this.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So how do you think karma gets created? It's through in past lives you had the same story, different story going on, but you got attached to various things that happen in that story, and then that creates a mental emotional pattern in your mind that you haven't got rid of when you die. And so that remains in your mind, and then that pattern causes you to reincarnate. You must come back to play out the pattern. Come into a domain of separation where that pattern can now be expressed. And then, you create another life where you have your karma from the previous one plays out. So, no one's a victim. It's your karma playing out. You on some level, you chose it, maybe not consciously in this life. But, if you were abused as a child, then you must have chosen it on some level. And that's usually from a previous lifetime. But now you have the opportunity to resolve that karma once and for all. So, okay, well, the buck stops here. Enough. I am going to let it go. I'm not going to continue this and carry this with me into another life so that I can perpetuate this cycle of karma. And the continuous birth, rebirth, and death is necessary to play out the karma, you see. Because
it's weird, isn't it? Because you don't think you'd actually choose this, would you? With you talking the way you just spoke about karma and what we think and what we believe, and if you've had childhoods that are like whatever, you think, oh my gosh, you wouldn't really think that you choose this, would you?
You chose it when you were in a different place.
Yeah.
Floating around on the clouds somewhere.
I know I've added so many versions to it. I can't get myself out of it. It's like, get me out of the jungle.
And what you need is a very clear spiritual teaching like this to shine the light into all of this darkness and say, okay, it's very simple. Here's the answer. None of this is true. None of it's true. None of it's real. So let it all go. Erase it all. Because it's just a covering. It's the veil over pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's what's hiding. It's what's obscuring it. So do you understand why they use the term veil? Because it covers it over. It's like a dirty veil covering over this pristine, pure formless awareness that is the very source of your mind. And it has this kind of seductive quality. It wants to pull you into the veil. And the more, if you honor that, then you just perpetuate karma. More of the ego psychological and emotional attachment, and you don't free yourself. You just so most people are just perpetuating their karmic patterns and they're making them worse. If you're not on a spiritual path, really looking at your stuff and letting it go, then you're just digging yourself a deeper hole.
Blimey, I'm glad I'm logging off early. I'm going to go and have a drive and think about this one. This is a big...
Please don't go, Sally, please.
Don't abandon your friend.
I'm with you in spirit.
To the stringent master who's gonna it's like a whack on the head with a Zen master. Whack. Wake up.
My microphone keeps going. Hold on a minute. I might have to go with you.
Susie, stay. There's more to learn. All right, I'm going. Love
All right.
See ya.
Thanks for joining, Sally.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. All right, so let's go back to the lesson. So if you want to read the alternative of paragraph 1, unless the past is over in my mind.
Unless the past is over in my mind, the real world must escape my sight. For I am really looking nowhere, seeing only what is not there. How can I then perceive the world letting go offers? This is what the past was made to hide, for this is the world that can be truly perceived only now. It has no past, for what can be let go of except the past, and if it is released, it is gone.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
That's very powerful, really, if you're really, really paying attention, because I know, I think when you read things, when you see things, and you sometimes you don't even realize what's tapping in and tapping out. So
yeah, it's these little lessons, they're short, but they really pack a punch. I like what he's done in the second part, because he's going, let's just
I can see why when I first looked into the Course in Miracles, and it was only like I said, it's not even been a year yet, and I was looking through it, and I'm not one to skim through it and think, oh, I want to get to the end. I kind of understood everybody saying to me, just look at the bold print. Don't worry about anything else for now. Just focus on the lesson for the day. And some people that are doing A Course in Miracles were also saying that, because when I was watching the videos, they'd say, just focus on that. Don't focus on it all, because it will do you nothing. But I can really see why that has been introduced that way, because you give this to any, because like I said, I was doing it, and I just, even after day 4, and that's why I put it to one side. And when the ad said she was doing this, I thought to myself, I'll join it. But I felt so intense doing this. It's really restless to do it at times, but yet you've got the urge to still want to do it. So that just shows that everything's working out the way it's meant to be.
There's a deeper core, beyond the ego's resistance. There's something, once you get a taste of freedom, which is what the Course gives you, you go, I want more. There's something else, and really, there's no other way. And
I think you surprised me last week, because I know I had a bit of I just take it as it comes and goes, but when I know it gets a bit too intense or overwhelming, and I know that's not me, that's a story. And although I was yawning a lot last week, I've always thought of it as an energy shift. And you kept telling me, to beware of the yawn, and that really I had to change the way I think about yawning, because to me it's always been an energy shift in my eyes. Even when people speak, I often say, if they're not tired, that's not what they're thinking. But it does make you wonder what we believe and why we believe, because you have to just go by your true essence, rather than, like you said, all these words are just pointers. Because I've always seen it as an energy shift. I always see a yawn as a brilliant release. I never see it as, maybe in the early days.
It can be. It is a way of releasing energy.
Yeah.
And activating the body's parasympathetic nervous system. But one of the ego strategies is to put you to sleep. So it's like, no, I'm too tired to concentrate. It's like, well, that's a defense against being alert and present and taking this in fully. Oh no, I'm too tired. And so, of course, in Miracles are notorious for putting people to sleep. You start reading a bit of the text, and after a paragraph or two, it's like, off you go, and just drop off, because it's, the best way to defend against the truth is simply to put you to sleep so you can't read it. So just be aware of that. And I'm not saying absolutely. I mean, a yawn can be an energetic shift.
No, I'll notice the difference, because I think, there's got to be something, but it, like you said, I'm not going to pay too much attention to it, but it just came to me again to think that, to me, a yawn is a shift. It's not going to sleep, but.
Well, Yeshua calls it withdrawal. He says, don't slip off into withdrawal. So withdrawal is not being present and being alert, and focusing on the message and allowing it to come in. It's like, I'm withdrawing into sleep because this is too intense for me, so I want to time out. And a lot of people do that. If people are depressed or whatever, they'll sleep, and they'll just go, I can't, I'm too tired, because it's a way of withdrawing from problems and from stuff that's overwhelming. So just be aware of that. So the real world, any thoughts on that? What's he saying in paragraph 1? So what he's saying, really, I'll summarize it, is that you can only connect with the real world in the present moment. The real world opens up when you're fully present and you're not judging it from your past conditioning and programming. That's not there anymore. So you've released all of that, and you're now just aware in the present moment. Okay, I'm aware right now. My past is over. I'm not the slave to any conditioning, any programming. So now I'm opening my mind to the Holy Spirit, which can now speak to me, guide me directly in the present moment, what to do, what to say. And now my thoughts, my words, my actions are not coming from the programmed self, which is based on past conditioning. It's not my karma anymore that's acting. It's just pure presence coming into me and saying, okay, well, you're a clear channel now. Just do that, go there, do that. And it just directs you. Actually, quite specifically, it can give you specific instructions and directions as to where to go and what to do. That's not based on your past at all, which is the way
I think we know these things
past.
when we do stuff, because we've obviously had a taste of it. Because I know when I was 17 and I needed to leave home, I just had to leave home. I didn't have anything. I didn't have no money. I didn't have anything, and I just went. I just took my school bag and I left. And I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know where I was, whatever. And then, you know, I made a call to my mum. She wanted me to come back. I says, no, I'm not doing that. I've made a break and that's it. I'm not doing this. So I think you know, I'm not saying I think you're right. I know what you're saying, that when it comes, it comes.
And you trust it, and that's called divine providence. It's like, okay, I've had a clear instruction. Trust me, you go on. You don't know how it's all going to unfold, but something in you, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be okay. And if you're in that state, it is okay. Things just, you know, you were okay. Somehow you made a plan, and you survived.
I didn't make a plan. I was on the street.
Yeah, but the point is, you know, you didn't die. It was part of your journey.
Yeah, I know. Step by step, I found a phone box. I rang friends, and everybody turned away. Nobody could come and get me. And then I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And then luckily there was a phone number in my bag. So I rang the Samaritans. Ended up in a shelter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that was, you know, that was a change from, you had to break the pattern of the old pattern. You know, the courage to go, okay, I'm leaving the known world. The known world was, you know, that world of your family, which wasn't a happy environment for you, and you had to have the courage to break with it. And so that was letting go of the past, saying, okay, I'm not bound by that. And you know, if you hadn't made that decision, then your life probably would have been quite different.
Oh yeah.
Very, very interesting. So you broke with the past. You said, I'm no longer going to be a victim to my past. I'm open to something better. And there was some reorganization that had to happen, and a bit of difficulty, but you got through that. And you know, as a result, you've had a pretty good life. It sounds like you've had family and connection, and there's love there. And now it's just dealing with that, you know, the lingering past, whatever's still left, the residue of that victim identity.
I think the more I do the Course in Miracles, I think you tend to realize that you've avoided a lot, you know, because I never used to, I used to just get on with everything, never used to fuss nothing. But now I've realized why now when I'm doing this, because I never used to let anything bother me, you know. But the thing was, I didn't allow myself to feel anything. So I could see why sometimes when I do some of these sessions, it's a bit, because you're having to get down to the nitty gritty and feel it and get it out your system. Whereas I've been really kind of, I never looked at things that way. I just kept getting up and kept doing stuff. It's only since I've done the book as well, because you don't realize that you are still following those patterns, because I was 17 at the time. And it's only till you get in my mid-30s or late 30s, I started questioning a few things, and then you just, so, but a lot of it was the foundation of what was in my mind, of what I truly believed. And even now, it's kind of like, now you're unpicking it, you just look at some stuff and you're like, wow. So like some of these lessons that you say, and that's what's happening now. Now I can't distract myself. Now I can't escape. Now I can't, because I don't choose to. before I had to, in a way, because I guess the jobs I was doing, you know, working in violence and suicide, and I was great at helping others, but I didn't want to face anything myself. So, but you're doing it, you weren't doing it, you were doing it trauma, but, you know, through trauma, not, you know, so you could always encourage and support, but you weren't really, you know, like, I wouldn't really say much, or, but it worked at the time, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was part of the journey. Now it's time to really look within and say, okay, I'm going the whole way here. You know, I'm going to become that enlightened avatar, and you know, really be this pure presence of love in the world, and that will take everything you do to an entirely different level. We don't know how that's going to look exactly, but you know, watch out, because if someone is purely in that state of mind, they are powerful. The power of God is coming through them into the world, and it wants to use them as a channel for its message. So then you become a vehicle for a messenger, usually a teacher. You've already done that, but I think you had to withdraw from that teaching role so that you could go and do your own work. And you know, maybe you'll step back into that once
I think the book was fascinating, because if I read it now, every day I'm reading it now, because obviously I'm going to read it next week, but I think that I was given signs then, because I just did the book just like that, and I've been reading it every day now.
Which book you're talking about?
My own book.
Yes. Okay.
So, and yeah, it was pointers for me to get me to hear, but it feels like before I just didn't pay attention. It was just like everything was in that book, and yet I never paid attention to it.
Yeah, interesting. So you're reading
It's really, because
reading your own words and learning from them.
Yeah, because this, I mean, I never wanted to go down the self-help route, because self-help, I think, sometimes makes people worse, because you're just building on your trauma that you have within you. So mine was quite motivational about, you know, self-love, and I mean, I wrote about the Ho'oponopono in there, and I'm like, wow, you know, but it just shows how we can easily get distracted, and you end up back, you know,
back in the ego.
Feels like you've not moved forward, you know. But I have, because I know that I keep saying to myself, I know now, before I'd never feel, I didn't allow myself to feel, you know, I mean, I've had kids and everything. You think to yourself, gosh, you're not allowed yourself to feel, and just, that's why I find this course, I find the whole thing fascinating, because it's just like you said, it's changing your own mind.
Yeah, and there's no hiding. If you do the lessons properly, it's like he's telling you exactly what you need to do. There's no ambiguity, there's no equivocation. It's just saying you need to let the entire past go. Easier said than done, but that's, you know, that's the journey. As the past shows up in your mind, as usually a negative block, negative thoughts and emotion, you're aware of it and then able to let it go. Okay, so if you read the number 2, the original, and then the alternative translated version.
Father, let me not look upon a past that is not there, for you have offered me your own replacement. In a present world, the past is left untouched and free of sin.
Yeah, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I felt a bit of a dip in my stomach then. Here is the end of guilt, and here am I made ready for your final step. Shall I demand that you wait longer for your son to find the loveliness you planned to be the end of all his dreams and all his pain?
Yeah, and then read the alternative, and we'll just unpack it.
My source, let me not perceive a past that is not there. for you have offered me your own replacement for the past in a present world. The past has left untouched and free of sin. Here is the end of guilt, and here I am made ready for your final step. Shall I demand that you wait longer for your extension to find the loveliness you planned to be the end of all his dreams and all his pain?
Okay. So any thoughts on that?
Nope, just a warm feeling inside, which I don't normally get.
That's good. So you're feeling into it. That's what they say. Do you understand why the past, sin and guilt are connected? Because the past makes the error of separation seemingly real. So if we go to here, just find course manual. So you look at sin, guilt, sit on the ladder of separation. Whenever you focus on the past, and that's usually a negative perception of the past, generally, unfortunately. Sometimes people have nostalgia. That's sort of the most positive view of the past. But even nostalgia, there's a sadness to it, isn't it? Oh, well, you know, I'm reminiscing and it was nice, but it's gone. So it's not entire nostalgia, is not free of a negative taint. But a lot of the time it's just, oh, well, it's regret and, you know, really unhappy thoughts that perpetuate the illusion that this has all happened, that you have actually separated. Consequences of separation are real. You've now experienced them, and you and other people are guilty and sinful for that, and that plays out in the dream world as all the horrible things that you and other people do. And then you go, well, those things are real, therefore the separation has happened. You see how the ego works. If guilt and sin are real, then the separation is true and real and has really happened. And so that then perpetuates an illusion of your identity and an illusion of a separate self and reality that has been pulled over the truth that you are just pure formless awareness of perfect love. So you see why sin and guilt are so bound up with the past. As soon as you let go of the past, no past means no sin and guilt. There's nothing to be sinful for and guilty for because there is no past. So you apparently sinned and were guilty in the past, but if there's no past, well, then the sin and the guilt go with the past. You see the approach. He's just saying, well, blanket. It doesn't exist. This timeline where all these events that are, you know, seemingly disturbing and make you feel guilty and sinful, they're not real. So right now you can take a blanket eraser and just erase this entire past karmic pattern. And then you're free in the pure formless awareness of perfect love, which interprets the world now from this higher state, from this awareness. The Holy Spirit now streams through and reinterprets all of this from the perspective of oneness, which is the Christ self, which profoundly changes your perception of the entire dream world. And that's the only way out. He's saying, Yeshua's saying, this is the only way to attain freedom. Okay. So here I made ready for your final step. So if we've done this, we've really collapsed the past. We then are ready for God's final step, which is emerging into oneness. And that will happen when we're ready. It's our natural state. So at some point we lay aside the body. The dream is over. We merge our minds back into perfect oneness. And that's it. We finished. The dream is gone. No more need for a dream, no more need for a separate self. when we're home. And he says, shall I demand that you wait longer for your extension to find the loveliness you planned to be the end of his dreams and all his pain? So why delay? Why would you delay this anymore? And there's this loveliness that is just awaiting you. Okay, so any thoughts, questions, comments on that?
No, interesting, but yeah.
Okay. So 7 minutes to 2 o'clock. Can you do a 10-minute meditation?
I'm going to have to go, really, to be fair, because I've got to drive down. And I said I'd sit, so yeah. I'll have to switch on later and listen to your meditation, probably listen to all this again, because that'd be interesting to listen to it again.
Yeah, well, I won't record a meditation now, but there's 3 meditations I sent you.
Yeah, I did all 3 of them this morning. I don't know why. I just listened to it one after the other.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Well, Susie, see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, namaste. Have a nice afternoon.
And you.
Thanks for joining. Okay, so I'm just going to end the session there, I think. So thanks for joining, Susie and Sally, and namaste to everyone, which means the true self in me acknowledges and honors that same true self.